What's good, guys? Fantasy Joe back in our fantasy football video. Today, I am talking early round draft decisions, talking about Josh Allen versus Jalen Hurts. Which quarterback am I taking? If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I have a ton of these early round decision series already out on the channel. Marvin Harrison versus Devontae Adams, Kyron versus ETN, Jonathan Taylor versus Saquon. We got wide receiver sleepers out. All my value series is out. League Winners is coming soon, so hit that subscribe button. Check out all those videos. Fantasy football profiles on the channel of individual players as well. Everything you need to win that fantasy football championship. So if you're looking to bring home a championship this year, this is the place to do it. Hit that subscribe button. Have a ton of in-season content as well to continue to give you that edge. But let's talk quarterbacks. So Josh Allen's currently going at the 22 pick overall. We'll compare that to Jalen Hurts, who's currently going at 33, so about a round later. But let's dive in and start looking at some stats. So we're going to talk about Josh Allen first. So Josh Allen, the last 4 years, has been the quarterback 1 3 times. He's been the quarterback 2 once. So basically, he's been a top 2 quarterback for the last 4 years. The level of consistency has been amazing. He's done that by averaging 4,385 passing yards and over 34 passing touchdowns over the last 4 seasons. That's absolutely ridiculous. And then you factor in the fact that he, for the last 5 years, averages 596 rushing yards and 9 rushing touchdowns. To get a player who consistently not just throw for 4,000, throw for well over 4,000 yards, rush for close to 600, and give you almost double-digit touchdowns on the ground is absolutely ridiculous for one fantasy football player to do. And that's why he's averaged over 24 points per game for 4 straight years, which is absolutely ridiculous. Anyone who's consistently over 20 is an absolute difference maker at the quarterback position for fantasy football. He's just been fantastic, and there's really no bad case against Josh Allen. The points that I would lay out, though, he was on a worse pace for passing yards when Joe Brady took over as offensive coordinator last year. Now, they ran the ball more. Josh Allen was utilized more. He had 15 rushing touchdowns this last season, which ties the most by a fantasy quarterback or a quarterback in NFL history. But his utilization definitely went up around the goal line. I think he's going to score double-digit touchdowns again this year with the Joe Brady offense. Usually I was a guy, a few years ago when Josh Allen was a younger player, I used to think that the rushing touchdowns could come down. And then you see when it went from 8, 9, 8, 6, 7, they did start to go down a little bit. But with this new role, this new offense, I think double digits as well within the realm of possibility. I think they're going to run Josh pretty often. I do think he's going to have 600 rushing yards this year or close to it and be that threat on the goal line. I think he'll throw for 4,000 yards. Now, I think it might be a little bit lower than some of these previous years he had. So he's had 4,300 basically the last 2 years. Let's say he's got 4,100 or 4,000. But the thing is, that really doesn't make a massive difference to me in my fantasy outlook. Because like I said, if he's rushing for double-digit touchdowns, he can throw for 4,000 yards and still be an absolute monster for fantasy football. He has lost some weapons this offseason, so Stephon Diggs is gone, Gabe Davis is gone. They weren't really contributing the ways that those players were expected to when the team signed them, though. So I'll throw that out there. I just think, with Khalil Shakir, Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, they've got James Cook out of the backfield. They've got Keon Coleman. They've got some guys that are going to be able to get it done. I think Josh Allen's a good enough quarterback to still throw for that 4,000 yards. I think, like I said, that role on the end zone is going to be massive. I think he's going to be an absolute stud. Alrighty, let's talk and move on to Jalen Hurts, break down him. So Jalen Hurts this last year was very good for fantasy football. His points per game fell, though, from how ridiculous a pace he was on 2 years ago. So I was talking about anything over 20. You're talking about a statistical difference maker at the quarterback position. 2 years ago, Jalen Hurts averaged 25.6 points per game, which fell to 21.9 this last year. He definitely struggled passing-wise and some efficiency numbers over the second half of the season. A lot of the numbers for the Eagles just fell pretty precipitously. They bring in Kellen Moore, though, a new OC. But one thing I will throw out for Jalen Hurts, we're talking about Josh Allen's rushing touchdowns. He's the only one that's more prolific than Josh Allen. 15 this last year, like I said, ties a record. They're both tied with their record for each other. 13 the year before and 10 the year before that. So you can basically count on him for double-digit touchdowns and you can project a little bit more potentially. I will say 24% of his fantasy points last year came from rushing touchdowns. So if that number does go down to 10, that would drop his fantasy finish quite a bit. Basically, if you're drafting Jalen Hurts this year, I think you need to believe in the Kellen Moore offense and him being able to take a stride to get back to the player he was. You see this last year, 6 interceptions in 2022, 15 the next year, and the passing volume wasn't dramatically different. Like, not to throw that many more interceptions. You see the quarterback rating go down. I just think they need to simplify things. The nice part about Jalen Hurts is the offense around him is surrounded with studs. You're talking about a great offensive line, one of the best in football up front protecting him. And he's got A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, one of the best 1-2 combos in football, wide receiver, without a doubt. And Dallas Goedert in the passing game as well. Saquon Barkley now in the backfield. Now, one thing I'll throw out for Jalen Hurts, there's been rumors this year and people who have been pro Saquon saying, does Saquon get a bigger role around the goal line? Does that diminish Jalen Hurts' tush push role and, lower those rushing touchdowns? I don't think it does. I think the tush push is staying around the first 1 or 2 yard line. I think that's going to be their go-to move. Now, maybe they hand it off to Saquon 3 or 4 times more than they did to DeAndre Swift last year in those type of situations. But that's still, like I said, I think Jalen Hurts is a double-digit touchdown scorer. I don't know if 15 is where he's going to be at again next year, but he could easily be, 11, 12 rushing touchdowns and just have a pretty normal year for him. He does have better weapons. So between Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts, I am definitely taking Josh Allen. Now, when you consider, though, that you can get Jalen Hurts about a round later, and I think even a little bit later than that in most drafts, I will take that draft day discount probably and take Jalen Hurts in the round later. Right now, you're going to take Josh Allen at the end of the second, probably a little bit earlier in some of your home leagues. If you're in a more competitive league, Josh Allen's probably going to fall in the middle of the third. Then I think you probably pull the trigger on him. But again, then that means Jalen Hurts probably thrown in the middle of the fourth or something like that. But I think either of these players are worth a pick to me once you get to round 3. Jalen Hurts, I'd probably take about the end of round 3. Josh Allen, I'm comfortable in the beginning of round 1. I think I've always been comfortable paying a third-round price for Josh Allen, even a second some years. But I'm definitely in the third-round camp this year, just with the losses in the passing game, things of that nature. I just think those passing yardage and potentially passing touchdowns could come down a little bit. But like I said, I think he's a great bet for double-digit touchdowns this year. Both of these guys are. And they should both be very successful for fantasy football. And I would take Josh Allen. But when you consider draft price, I would take the discount and get Jalen Hurts on my fantasy football squad. If you guys are new to the channel, like I said, hit that subscribe button. If you have any more ideas for these videos, you want an early round decision, you're having a tough decision in your fantasy drafts, drop it in the comments. Let me know who fantasy football profiles you want to see. Any videos you guys want, let me know. League Winners is coming out soon, though, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. Running back sleepers as well. This has been Fantasy Joe. Thank you guys so much for watching.